the global stage.
Did you know that if you were the only person on earth, Jesus would have still come to die for you?
When you suspect somebody of alcohol intoxication,
Putin chose this war, and now he and his country will bear the consequences.
But have you ever wondered how long it took Adam to sin against God from the day he was created?
He will take from you to give to another person,
such that we could remove his heart and replace it with that of the animal.
Love does not demand its own way. My goodness.
Global stage.
Opposite direction. They might make centralized data processing far more efficient than distributed data processing. And if democracy cannot adapt to these new conditions, then humans will come to live under the rule of digital dictatorships. And already at present, we are seeing the formation of more and more sophisticated surveillance regimes throughout the world, not just by authoritarian regimes, but also by democratic governments. The US, for example, is building a global surveillance system, while my home country of Israel is trying to build a total surveillance regime in the West Bank. But control of data might enable human elites to do something even more radical than just build digital dictatorships. By hacking organisms, elites may gain the power to re-engineer the future of life itself. Because once you can hack something, you can usually also engineer it. And if indeed we succeed in hacking and engineering life, this will be not just the greatest revolution in the history of humanity. This will be the greatest revolution in biology since the very beginning of life 4 billion years ago. For 4 billion years, nothing fundamental changed in the basic rules of the game of life. All of life changed in the basic rules of the game of life. All of life, for 4 billion years, dinosaurs, amoebas, tomatoes, humans, all of life was subject to the laws of natural selection and to the laws of organic biochemistry. But this is now about to change. Science is replacing evolution by natural selection with evolution by intelligent design. Not the intelligent design of some god above the clouds, but our intelligent design and the intelligent design of our clouds, the IBM cloud, the Microsoft cloud. These are the new driving forces of evolution. So after 4 billion years of organic life shaped by natural selection, we are entering the era of inorganic life shaped by intelligent design. This is why the ownership of data is so important. If we don't regulate it, a tiny elite may come to control not just the future of human societies, but the shape of life forms in the future. So how to regulate?
All right, so welcome back. And we are talking about the video we just watched. You know, data is everything. And, you know, as we watched that video, I actually highlighted about 8 points he mentioned. And I want our viewers to know about them. Probably because when people are watching some of these videos, they may not really get what he's really talking about because of the words they use. So to help you understand what transhumanism is, I want to highlight 8 points he said concerning transhumanism in the video you just watched. Now, the first thing you talk about was digital dictatorship. Do you have any idea about digital dictatorship?
digital dictatorship. We just have to look at what dictatorship is, and then we add digital. So that means digital being in the hands of few, controlled by them.
Right there.
As he rightly said, the elites.
That's actually wonderful.
Yes.
You know, dictatorship is the opposite of democracy.
Democracy.
And democracy simply means like a choice. You have a choice. You speak, I speak. you actually have the right and the privilege to voice your view and act on certain rights and privilege you have. But when you are being ruled by a dictatorship, it means you don't have a voice. So when you say dictatorship, you're talking about being ruled under, like you said, under few people, that is the elite, using digitalization, but in a governance of dictatorship. That is, there's no more democracy. So the question is that, do you want dictatorship or you want democracy? So if you think that transhumanism is something good, now they are telling you that under that transhumanism, the order of the day will be dictatorship, not democracy. Then you talked about AI, which is artificial intelligence. Now with that, we will skip that for now. As we move on, we talk about AI. The other thing they talk about is global surveillance, where he said that they want to achieve global surveillance. And global surveillance, simply, when people think about surveillance, they think about just the identification of the geographical location of a person, where the person is. But in the minds of these transhumanists, what they mean is that going under your skin, not just locating where you live, but going under your skin. Do you have anything you want to add as well?
Yes, when we talk about global surveillance, they are not, as you rightly said, they are not just trying to find out where you are, what you are doing only, but they want to know what is happening within
you. Exactly.
What is happening under your skin? What are your thoughts? Because when they say under your skin, we may be thinking it's only under this physical skin. They want to know what are your thoughts. What are your plans?
Very good, very good.
What are your movements?
Very good.
What are you planning next? Because when they are talking about this digital dictatorship, and they are able to collect all this data, because they are going to have monitoring under your skin. That
systems.
Means within your being, they're going to know your thoughts, they're going to know your mind, and it is dictatorship. That means that they are going to, all this data, when they collect it, they tells you what you think, they tells you what you do, and they tells you the movement you take.
100% right. Now, the next point you talk about was hacking organism, and how do you achieve global surveillance? Like you said, to hack your mind. That is to hack the organism. And the organism they are talking about is human being, not just any other organism like the animal. They're talking about a human person. And so when they say hacking organism, they mean, like we said, they are going under you. That is to see what goes through your mind. And if they can get the data of what goes to your mind, they can now manipulate it and then control you under the rule of dictatorship. Then he also made a very important point. He said, the basic rule of the game of life. Now, that is very important. Now, that's simply, he's talking about natural selection. You know, from the day God created man, everything has been natural selection. Where he mentioned the word organic biochemistry. Simply put in, he's talking about reproduction. How man reproduces after his own kind. That is through sexual intercourse. And so you meet a woman, you get married, and you produce after your kind. Now, he's saying that basic rule of life, which is natural selection, is going to change. Now, they are bringing their own rule of the basic rule of life. So what God instituted, that is the natural selection by breeding through biochemistry, by organic biochemistry, that is sexual reproduction. Now, they are saying that under their transhumanism agenda and under that governance of dictatorship, now what is going to happen by reproduction is no longer going to be the way we think of reproduction, but something different. That is hacking the organism, and then that is the basic rule of the game of life.
You know, one thing that we always have to be careful with these people is that if you look at all their agendas and all their plans, it's always against nature.
So it's actually against natural selection.
Natural selection. Because why necessarily against natural selection? Because as we said, it's all about pollution. It's all about stopping the human race. It's all about stopping humanity. Why are they trying to change the natural selection to their own way? Because they are going to infuse things that you will not understand.
Very true.
That is where they get the best of their transhumanism. That's where they will get the best of their transhumanism. Because if they are changing it and they are coming up with this is how we are coming up with how a child is being born, how a human being is being raised. You don't know how the formation is going to be. How they want you to think is how you are going to think. They are going because everything is formed by them, everything is controlled by them. So at the end of it all, as they rightly said, digital dictatorship. Because everything, they are planning everything in such a way that they will be able to capture
everything using data.
Using data.
Because now data is the most powerful tool on
Yes.
earth now. Once they have the data, they can hack you and then control you under
Yes.
that rule of dictatorship.
And even people like them, people like those that they want to bring from the onset how they want them to be born and all that, they don't need to hack them again. They're already in their system.
Yeah, very true. Very true. So in going further, he talked about evolution by intelligent design. Now he says that science will now replace evolution by natural selection, that you said. So we realize that they are actually against nature. That is a war against natural selection. And he said something. He said, not the intelligent design of some god above the class, but their own intelligent design created by, he mentioned Microsoft, IBM. What do you think about that as well?
In this sense, he's now attacking divinity. He's now, these people, they talk like, especially listening to Noah, you may think he's talking science. But if you watch the video carefully, when he talked about that, you could see an image behind him.
An image, yes.
An image behind him. Jesus Christ
image behind that's actually the universal image of Jesus Christ.
The universal image,
yes.
Correct. I thank you for that correction. The universal image of Jesus Christ. What is he trying to say? This guy is all out attacking, we are not just even going to say he's attacking divinity, but he's attacking Christ.
Yeah.
He's attacking Christ. He's talking about not a God above the then
class.
Why bringing the picture of Jesus Christ?
Yeah. Meaning that the attack is actually against the God of Jesus Christ.
The God of Jesus Christ.
And Jesus Christ is God himself.
He's God himself.
And then if he's attacking that God, then definitely he will attack the church.
Yes.
Because the church is the body of Christ.
Yes.
Understand? So basically, they are trying to create a world, a godless world.
Godless world.
So he said not the intelligent design of the God above the cloud, but their own intelligent designs using data, and then meaning that Microsoft, IBM will be the God of the society.
Another thing to notice also that they are not really trying to create a godless system per se, but what they are trying to do is that, though it may seem like a godless system, but at the end of it all, they want to be worshipped as
gods. Yeah. Now, that was the idea behind eugenics. They became the gods of the society.
Yes.
So whilst they are throwing away the idea of our own God, they will replace themselves as gods of the society.
Because they become superior to
because if they own the data, they can control you. And if they can control you, they become the gods of the society.
Yes. So in a sense, they want to take the position of God. Why are they trying to change how procreation is done, how human beings run their affairs? They are trying to change everything. In the name of upgrading
enhance the human person.
It is not.
But when you go deeper, it is not actually an upgrade. It's actually something else.
Yes.
It's actually changing the whole system. Now, he also mentioned the new era that is coming. He said that new era will be an era of inorganic life shaped by intelligence design, and that is where the AI comes in. So he's saying that there's going to be an era, if they should achieve what they want to achieve, where the word organic means is coming from, let's say, in simple terms, something living. Inorganic is something which is not living. So when they say that new era that's coming to be inorganic thing, they're going to say that in a society that they want to create, we are going to have artificial intelligence, and then something totally different from what life we know, or something totally different from the human person. And that human person will be referred to as inorganic thing, because there will be a change from its original shape. And then he asked an important question. He said, who owned the data? That question, he actually answered himself, but he asked the audience, who owned the data?
He answered it when he began talking.
When he began talking.
Yes.
So who owned the data?
He said the elite.
The elite own it. Then we told about it. The elite are the strong and powerful in society. So if the elite own this data for control, meaning that they'll have control over you.
Yes, because if they control the data, they own the data.
Exactly. So that means if they own the data, they can control your mind. They can hack into your life.
Actually.
They can make you do the things you want to do.
Yes.
And the sad thing is that you may have certain thoughts which you think it might be your own thoughts. Because if they can hack an organism, they can send thoughts. Yes. They can also receive thoughts from you. And so the thought you'll be thinking will not be your own thought. You'll be coming from an external source, thinking that it's your own thoughts. So they have control over you. And that is why they say digital dictatorship. So democracy will be out of the way, meaning that free will will be out of the way. You will not have your own free will. And free will is actually the greatest gift God gave to mankind, for you to think on your own. So if you can't think on your own, then you are not a human person, because you become like a robot.
And
in essence,
one thing that we also need to know is God never created man to be under somebody. God is not even lording over us. God made us. He made us so free that you can take decisions even against Him.
Exactly.
As they are doing.
As they are doing. To even have the mind to work against the one who created them.
Who created you? Because if God were to be like them, they wouldn't have been doing what they are doing.
Exactly.
The God that created everyone didn't make things the way they are trying to do.
Exactly. And this was the idea behind eugenics in the 1940s.
And the beautiful truth is that they cannot achieve it.
They cannot achieve it. Because even if they don't achieve it, to be in the days where the days of the Antichrist. But we just want the world to know what is happening, so that you are not carried away by the good things they tell you, extend human life, improve human health.
And people always want to go by what is new.
What is new?
Oh, this is what is now new.
Yeah. So when people talk about science, technology, it sounds something positive.
Positive. So they want to adventure.
I go into the but one thing our man of God told us is this. He said that anything can be weaponized, whether good or bad. So we are not saying that science and technology is evil or is bad, but we are saying that who is inspiring it, who is going to use that as a weapon against you, against the society. And that is what we are advocating for now. Now, I want us to quickly watch the second part of that video, where he also says certain things that also intrigue your mind. So kindly watch this video. We'll be right back.
Future of life. We are probably one of the last generations of Homo sapiens. Within a century or two, Earth will be dominated by entities that are more different from us than we are different from Neanderthals or from chimpanzees. Because in the coming generations, we will learn how to engineer bodies and brains and minds. These will be the main products of the economy, of the 21st century economy. Not textiles and vehicles and weapons, but bodies and brains and minds. Now, how exactly will the future masters of the planet look like? This will be decided by the people who own the data. Those who control the data control the future not just of humanity, but the future of life itself. Because today, data about my DNA, my brain, my body, my life, does it belong to me, or to some corporation, or to the government, or perhaps to the human collective? To accept, to legitimize total biometric surveillance. If we want to stop this epidemic, we need not just to monitor people, we need to monitor what's happening under their skin. What we have seen so far, it's corporations and governments collecting data about where we go, who we meet, what movies we watch. The next phase is the surveillance going under our skin. We're now seeing mass change in the nature of surveillance. Previously, surveillance was mainly above the skin. Now it's going under the skin. Governments want to know not just where we go or who we meet. Above all, they want to know what is happening under our skin. What's our body temperature? What's our blood pressure? What is our medical condition? Now humans are developing even bigger powers than ever before. We are really acquiring divine powers of creation and destruction. We are really upgrading humans into gods. We are acquiring, for instance...
Hello, welcome back. That was an interesting video. I mean, the boldness in which he made mention of those things is really interesting. You know, during our last word, Pastor was talking about some of these people, and then he said that when their political stooges speak, they use what we call diplomatic circumlocution. In other words, they use words that hide the true intention of what they want to put across. And so, if you just watch that video, you may not see anything wrong with it, just like the first video. But I want to break down 7 points he mentioned, and then we talk about that. Number one, he said, we may be probably the last generation of Homo sapiens. Then he said the earth will be dominated by entities that are different from us. So the question is, who are these entities? He says they are now engineering bodies, brains, and minds, and it will be the main product of the economy. Remember the book of Revelation, the mark of the beast. He said, who own the data? This question has been answered over and again. He's talking to the elite. He answered himself. He said, those who owns the data will control you. Then he says, then he asked a question. That question, when he asked the question, he quickly drank water because he didn't want to answer that particular question. Then he says, they are now going under your skin to monitor what happens under your skin. And then we talk about how they want to hack human beings and their minds and what they think. Then he says that they are now acquiring divine powers of creation and destruction. I thought he was talking about science. Where from divinity? Because science looks at facts. Science doesn't talk about divinity or faith. It looks at physical things. Now he says we are acquiring divine powers of creation and destruction. What do you think about everything he said?
So we are right to say that these people are moved by Satan to do what they are doing. Because looking at all what he said from all the videos we watched, we can boldly say that these people are not dealing with science. They are having an agenda behind. And the agenda is all about human beings. And one thing that we need to also know is that human beings, as we see and know, are the business of God. Because if you read the Bible carefully, it will just let you know that human beings are what God is thinking about. Everything God does is about the soul of man.
The soul of man.
Because had it not been that, God himself will not come and die for human beings.
Very true.
So Satan has also taken it as his business. Because what God is interested in is what Satan
is interested in, and he wants to destroy as well.
So looking at it, their aim is not they are going to bring any development to the human race. They are going to advance human life or anything. This is something more spiritual.
You know, he said they are now going under their skin.
Yes.
And by what means would they achieve that?
You know, going under the skin can only be injection. It can be only injections. That means they're going to implant things under the human skin that will be able to give them feedback, give them information.
Yeah, and when you talk about injection, I want you to be very specific. Are you talking about vaccination or just any injection?
No. I'm talking about vaccinations. Vaccinations, as we know in hospitals, they come this disease, they have to vaccinate. For example, the COVID-19 vaccination. That is one of their plans that they wanted to carry out.
I want to quote what Professor Klaus Schwab said during 2020 when the COVID came out. He said, and I quote, "The pandemic represents a rare but narrow window of opportunity to reflect, reimagine, and reset our world."
So what he's just saying is that if we are going to, what he means in his heart, that is an opportunity for them to reset the world they want.
Then he said again, a new world could emerge, the contours of which it is incumbent on us to reimagine. He said again, to reimagine, to redraw again. So they are now withdrawing, resetting our world to suit what their agenda.
I think this is also coming from, the Great Reset. He carried out...
the Great Reset. There's actually a book called The Great Reset. That's the fourth industrial revolution.
Yes, the Great Reset. That is what he's talking about. The Great Reset is not about anybody. It's not to benefit anybody, but to benefit them. So that is what... That means that all what happened, it was a planting just for them to carry out all the research that they want to do. The research agenda.
So the vaccination is actually an experimentation
yes,
for what they want to achieve in the future.
Yes.
Yeah, that is why they are so keen on vaccinating everybody.
Yes.
Yeah. No, he said they want to engineer bodies and minds, and it will be the product of the economy. And then he said in the 19th, the product were textiles and other things. But he said now human beings are going to be the product of the day.
As I said, that human beings are God's business. And Satan always wants to also take human beings as his business and destroy. So you can see what he's talking about. Economy. What is economy?
It's about the selling and buying.
The selling and buying.
So if he says human beings are going to be the product of the economy, it means that in a way human beings are going to be like textiles.
They are going to be like textiles.
And because they have the data, they'll have the opportunity and the privilege to control these human beings.
Yes, and that is also to let us know that this thing, dictatorship, total dictatorship is within, and then what is this word?
Enslavery, colonization.
They are going to enslave everyone. They are going to colonize the whole world. Because if you take people as gold, if you take them as anything that gives money, anything that gives economic value, then what are you going to do with them? You are going to control them for your benefit.
Very interesting.
And another thing is that when they are talking about human beings being all about economy and what the world needs, they are also trying to confirm what Revelation talks about, the mark of the beast.
He said, if you don't have it, you cannot sell, you cannot buy.
Yes.
You cannot engage in the economic dealings of the society.
And that is their human bodies re-engineering.
Exactly.
And it has to do with the mark of the beast.
The mark of the beast. That's wonderful. You know, what we are talking about here, basically, like he said, is about the corruption of the human person. Even though to them they say they are going to extend human health, extend human life, but the implication of it is that it's the corruption of the human person. And I want to define for you what the corruption is. I define the corruption of the human race as the adulteration, changing, destruction of the essence of man, the very thing that classifies one as a human person. It is the transformation of the very original native core nature of one's personality from its original creation. And so once you switch from this original creation, you totally enter into a different person altogether, who is not made in the image and likeness of God, meaning that the person is not human, even though the person may look like a human being, may act like a human, but because of the modification. And remember the first video, Max Moore talks about genetic editing. That is the core of transhumanism. So transhumanism is not just adding metals to people who are disabled and not, and that is. It's talking about doing an editing of the person's gene to suit their agenda. That is interesting.
And when that is done, I think that is the reason why the people who receive the mark of the beast will not be able to go to heaven.
Exactly.
God cannot identify them.
Exactly.
Because they are not in their original
state. And their mind, the thought they are taking is not their own thought.
Yes,
because
and they cannot be redeemed.
They cannot be redeemed. Wonderful. We would like to end here, but I'd like to say this to you. The purpose is to corrupt the man's spirit and make man unfit for his association with God. And so in the event that he dies, he goes to hell. So that is the idea of Satan. Now, to those going on with this idea, that they don't think about heaven or hell. Theirs is to change man to suit what they want. They want to become the gods of this world. But spiritually, it is about where the man is going. That man who allows himself to go under this transhumanism, at the end of the day, will be unfit for the association with God. And when he dies, he goes straight to hell. And that's why you said in Revelation, the Bible says that they cannot be saved. God cannot save them because something has happened to the core of their nature. They are no longer human persons because of the transhumanism that has taken place. Now, we would like to end here with our discussion, and we will bring you the part 2. Now, it is not over. There's more to talk about, so watch out for the part 2 of this video. God bless you. Bye-bye for now.
The global stage. The global stage.